Okay, I'm making this video. This is definitely more of a topic video, and this is it's a little more organized than my other topic videos. I've been kind of working on this, and what I'm trying to make here is kind of a guide. You'll see the title, How to Become a God Tier Audiophile. And these are just things that I think can aid you along your journey, and this is all just my opinion, but these are some of the truths that I've discovered. So I'll start with number one. You must either have or develop a true passion for music. This is the foundation in which everything relies on. If you don't feel like you currently have a true passion for music, but you want one, or you're just starting to really become immersed and enveloped by music, you're on the right path. You're not just necessarily born with a true passion for music. Some people definitely are. Some people don't really care about music throughout the whole course of their life, but it is something that you can develop if you don't feel that you have a passion or connection with music. So I do want to kind of emphasize that, in my opinion, through my experience, the audiophile journey has been something that's like completely within the realms of metaphysics and spirituality, which may sound kind of odd, and it may be off-putting to people who have their predetermined beliefs before clicking on this video. And I want to kind of emphasize that this has nothing to do with religion, especially in type of organized religion. Nothing like that. So if you do not feel yourself to already have like a true spiritual or metaphysical connection with music, the good news about that is that you're not at the point where it's time to start shelling out cash, right? The exception to this would be is if you literally don't have anything. Like if all you have is your phone speaker to listen to music, you will need something. I mean, it could be desktop speakers. I would definitely encourage IEMs. If you could tell, that's the focus of this channel, are all the different IEM sets, and price performance, that's where I recommend you start. But outside of not having anything, you can start from the ground up, right? True focus and an immersion within the music to the point that you're completely unaware of your physical form and exist only as a node to receive the art in which you're experiencing is the best and most succinct way that I can spell out essentially my experience when I'm deep into listening music. When I'm in that almost trance state, my mind is completely devoid of thought. Literally, I'm just receiving a transmission, and it has my full undivided attention in ways that aren't possible through normal states of consciousness, like your everyday walking around state of consciousness. You don't need fancy ass equipment to get there, but it is important that you get there for this whole thing to really be worth it. And if you're someone who has a bunch of fancy ass equipment and you think what I just said was a bunch of horse shit and you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's fine. I would just encourage you to listen to what I'm saying with an open mind, because like I said, I'm just talking about my journey and my experiences. So in order to grow spiritually and to grow an audiophile, you need to this needs to be a holistic growth across all sectors of your life. So I would not neglect your body or mind. Some ideas for this would be incorporating habits such as intensive exercise, proper diet, sports, either team sports or individual sports. Both have their own sets of challenges. Mental stimulation, games like chess, timed mental math, strategic and complex video games, meditation are good ways. And then I have listening to understand, which is a huge part of growing as a person and a huge part of expanding your musical library. And what I mean by that is be conscious and aware of your intentions. So like if someone you don't like or someone you generally disagree with is talking, really look inward and see if you're listening and giving them the respect that they deserve, or and that you're listening to not react to what they're saying or not try and just think of ways to tear down their argument as they're speaking, but try and listen to understand. Okay? If you overall, I think becoming less quick to speak and more eager to listen will just put you on a path towards enlightenment and fulfillment and happiness. I'm not saying to be passive and just bend over for people who are, bullying you or just anything like that. But hopefully you understand what I'm getting at. So I think that, like I said, the passion for music and the want and need to grow as a person is kind of the prerequisites of some of the prerequisites of the audiophile journey. I think there are definitely more prerequisites, and that's kind of what step 2 is about here. So you have certain stuff that kind of needs to be fulfilled in order to really be as efficient as possible in this journey, which it does not have to be as efficient as possible. But if you think about it, if you're getting from point A, not necessarily to point B, but from point A onward quicker, your rate of travel is quicker, and the journey of a lifetime, you can make it a lot further, So that I don't mean rushing and not stopping to smell the flowers and stuff like that. That's really the whole fun of it, but hopefully you know what I mean. And one of the prerequisites of this means you need to be in a position to afford equipment. Obviously, I'm not talking about you can't listen to music unless you have 6 figures laying around for a ball and setup or anything like that. And you need to have the time to dedicate this pursuit. It is very time consuming, extremely time consuming. There are plenty of people whose entire lives literally revolve around this, and I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing if it's your entire life, but it is time consuming for anyone. One thing I want to kind of touch on, and I'm going to include an image, is the Maslow hierarchy of needs here. And the reason that I feel this to be relevant is that how can you sit down and really unwind and get the most out of your music and do all this stuff on an empty stomach, with bullets flying outside your window? And I know those are kind of extreme examples, but I'm sorry for the people who are born into situations like that. But if you're able to overcome your circumstances in a way where you're now afforded time as well as dispensable income for stuff like audio, I think the journey makes a lot more sense, and I think that you'll get a lot more out of it at that point. Once again, I'm not saying that to shame anybody or try and exclude somebody who has unfortunate circumstances from partaking. I'm just saying that if you're, if there's something terrible has just happened in your life or this or that, maybe it's a better use of time and use of energy to allocate your efforts towards something like that. So, understand that audio should be auxiliary to your sole purpose in life for most people. I'm not saying that you have to be rich or anything, not at all. Like, I'm in my very, very early 20s. If you can see, like, you may think this crap's expensive, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really nothing crazy. This stress management is huge. So like stress in modern life exists universally, and you need to know how to manage these underlying stressors and kind of turn them off to ascend spiritually while you're listening to your music. I feel like if you know, you can't have your mind in 1,000 different places and 100% on the music at all times. You know, if that makes sense. There just needs to be certain things, certain boxes you have checked off to really be able to do this the right way, in my opinion. So that brings me to point number 3, which is you need to learn. So the audiophilia, the hobby itself, is very academic in nature. So if you're someone who kind of struggled through school and stuff, you know, don't be turned off. Let this be an area in which you can pursue this in a way that's almost academic while still having an interest in it. Like I'm throughout school and college and everything, I was definitely mathematically inclined, and I would see this, you know, a lot of my peers who didn't have that, and it was what really kind of stuck out to me about that was that I wasn't interested in math any more than the people who struggled with it. And I say that just to mean that you may be good at something naturally, but if you don't have a passion for it, what's really going to matter? You know, what's that really going to do for you? You're not going to go anywhere with it. Like, there's math involved in my career, but not like the insane math I was taking in, you know, high level courses and stuff. So what do you need to learn in audio, right? It's such, there's so many components to this that I literally could not even list them all. I came up with a list of some of the stuff that I feel are at least good places to start, which is what certain audio devices do, what, how they work. You don't need to be an electrical engineer, but like a holistic understanding of each audio device and how it works within the chain of audio devices and what serves what, and stuff like that. That should be your base level knowledge. So we're talking digital file to a DAC. That signal is converted from a digital signal to an analog. That is fed into an amplifier, which amplifies the signal to a more powerful level that the drivers can utilize to move and make the sound. That's a super, that's as simple as I could probably make, like a basic audio chain. But then, driver types, resonator cavities, how that works, different DAC architectures, which I don't care enough about that to be to even really look into at this point. I'm sure once I get more into speakers and stuff, that'll be a bigger deal. Delta Sigma DACs versus R2R DACs, stuff like that. It's important to research, not just because you want to know what you're spending your money on, but just having a level of understanding that progresses throughout your journey, and in a more academic outlook that's always where you're always accumulating the knowledge. I think is the best way to go about it. I think that'll help you grow as a person, and it just in the pursuit and challenging yourself towards learning a subject. It just happens to be that this is the subject that you've decided to learn. And then there's the whole aspect of you need to learn about music. So you need to learn about different instruments, mixing and mastering, recording, how different production methods. So another part of the academic side of this, another thing you need to learn are those dumb audiophile buzzwords, right? Treble extension, dynamic range, holographic bass, soundstage, tonal balance, driver timbre. If something's warm, cold, bright, shouty. Uh, this is not just marketing buzzwords when used correctly. Basically, this is a way to convert a entirely subjective experience into something that's have like a relative objective flagpole to put it around, if that makes sense. So if you're wanting to understand someone's opinions on a piece of equipment, these are the words that you have to use, because it is what it is. Like, you can't say something arbitrary about something and expect people to understand exactly what you mean. And you'll understand that, as you begin to learn these words and understand what it actually means, and what something shouty sounds like, and what something dark sounds like, and this and that. People's informed opinions, people who use this stuff and really write detailed reviews and whatnot, their input will be of much more value to you because you're able to decipher it. So, that's something that's important. It's something that cannot be overlooked. To listen to your library with your equipment is not to learn about audio. You are simply sparring without ever training. If you are a UFC fan, which I love the UFC, try and follow all the fighters, especially leading up to big fights and stuff. And I love hearing about how different people approach the fight, and the kind of differences that are taken in training camps and whatnot. It's so interesting how all these world champion fighters have a regimen that really, most of their regimens are completely different from one another, and you still see optimal performance from each one of those guys in most cases. So if you're just listening to the music and you're not actually expanding your knowledge, that's fine, but the journey is going to take longer. When it's time for you to, when you say, there's this thing I don't like about these headphones or my IEMs, and you literally cannot describe what it is in a way that makes sense to other people, how useful is that information? This pursuit of audio knowledge must coincide with an ever-evolving knowledge of music that ranges from the history of bands, songs, albums, instruments, vocal technique, range, different new artists, new genres. There's new shit come out every day that is so amazing. Some of the best music I've ever heard are from people who were not making music 2 years ago. Learn everything that you can. Which brings me to point 4, learn how to absorb without a filter. Okay? This means that you need to learn how to enjoy music that you've not previously enjoyed. You don't want to run it through this filter of, I historically enjoy this, or I historically do not enjoy this. So this new song or new album or new artist, I will place them in the camp of I don't enjoy. That is stupid. That is the antithesis of audiophilia, in my opinion. You need to adopt this mindset where the music I'm listening to is enjoyed by my earthly siblings across the world. I want to connect with it the way they do. I want to hear what they are hearing. When you make these admissions, you can grow and enjoy cultural expressions from across the world. There's no such thing as bad music. There are just people who do not connect with it. If an artist is unable to produce art worth or capable of connecting with, they need to improve their craft, but that's still your responsibility to listen with good intentions and intentions of enjoying and connecting with music. I listen to everything. I hate, one of my pet peeves is I hate people who can't finish a song. If you don't like a song halfway through, how can you even have an opinion? You haven't heard it. Especially on a lot of songs that have like progressive type qualities, where what you hear in the first 30 seconds, if you were to play the first 30 seconds and then the last 30 seconds, you wouldn't even imagine it's the same song. How much of that have you missed out on because you haven't listened to the whole song, right? So just listen to music, read information, and try and absorb all you can, regardless of your pre-existing biases or filters, as I call it. Step number 5: you cannot let your equipment define your music consumption. You cannot give up enjoying an artist, genre, an album, etc., because you find your equipment plays better with a different sonic presentation. This negates the journey. You are listening to equipment and not music at that point. While it's definitely the case that certain music sounds favorable on certain equipment, you cannot restrict your library to the confines of your equipment's optimal performance. This is huge. So, like, if you think a track was mixed and mastered poorly, and your equipment is too revealing, you're wrong. Okay, you're wrong, because whatever that artist released, even though you find it to be poorly mixed and mastered, that is what the vision was. Okay, maybe they wanted it to be better. You can make the argument that there just wasn't access to have the job done properly or whatever. You cannot let that detract from your enjoyment of it, of the music. That negates the whole thing. Step 6: self growth through music. If you feel that at any point in your audio journey that you've reached a plateau, such as you're bored with your equipment or your library, you find it hard to enjoy music the way you used to, you don't have the time for it anymore, you need to remember that these are all symptoms of a self-induced disease. What is going on in my life that is distracting me from growth? Achieving altered states of consciousness through focus, meditation, or ingesting substances are a great way to jumpstart your inner self into reawakening. This is something that I'm going to touch on briefly, that for the life of me, I cannot understand why this has basically zero room for discussion in the audiophile community. This makes absolutely zero sense to me. It makes nothing else I could say beyond that, but basically, substances such as threshold doses of psilocybin can have a life-changing impact on your connection to music. Give yourself the opportunity of comprehending the incomprehensible. Okay? If you're put off by what I just said, if you think that I'm referring to doing something dirty or bad, you have been lied to and you were misinformed. If you have an opinion on psychedelic substances without ever experiencing them, you are wrong. You have no clue not only what you were talking about, but you have no clue what the confines of possibility within your mind are. And I'm not saying that to shame anybody, but I do want to put you in place if you have some type of uninformed, baseless assertion about something you have no experience with. A lot of ancient wisdoms transmitted through fungal matter applies to audiophilia, but to be told the truth and to experience the truth are not even comparable. So, rewatch that last sentence again if you didn't catch what I meant, if you want to dwell on that. But basically, I'm not going to go into super detail about this. If anyone was more interested in it, I'd love to make a second video just about this. But open your mind. You can experience music in a way that literally you can't even dream of. You would have no idea that this is possible, and it's the most beautiful, tear-jerking, soul-squeezing way to do it. There's nothing else has come close for me, and it's definitely not something to be overlooked. And I have no idea why this isn't talked about in this hobby. If I piqued your curiosity even a little bit and you want a place to start, I'd recommend starting with the Netflix series How to Change Your Mind. Understand that those people are taking some pretty high doses, but you can dial it way back. I specifically said threshold dose. Threshold is basically the smallest dose to where you start to feel effects. Start there. For actual music enjoyment, you really don't need any more, or don't need much more than that. Point number 7. Materialism must not interfere. While people find audiophiles incredibly materialistic to spend thousands and upwards on speakers and audio equipment, you must feel the opposite. You must feel that money, regardless of quantity, is not even on the same scale of value as the experience as true audio bliss or audio nirvana that you achieve. I have a quote: I can't even believe I can't believe I only had to give over some green pieces of paper to be in possession of a spiritual tool this powerful. Okay? That's kind of where you need to be at. This experience transcends monetary value and is anti-materialistic in that I am willing to sacrifice scarce resource to advance this spiritually fulfilling pursuit. This is not to serve as an excuse to overspend, constantly be purchasing equipment, flex your acquisitions towards other people, etc. I'm not trying to give you something that you can whip out on your wife as to why there's a $15,000 charge on the credit card. I'm just saying that you need to kind of become grounded and not overspend. Like, you don't need 10 different DApps and you don't need 30 different sets of IEMs and all this, but it is worth it to buy expensive stuff in this hobby. It really is. Number 8, this is a huge one. Share all that you can. Invite people to have a dedicated, uninterrupted time with your equipment. Give away and not sell your oldest stuff when possible. Like, if it's, if you spent $100 on a set of IEMs and you could sell them for 50, give them away. If unless you need $50 to eat, find somebody who could truly enjoy them the way that you can and would appreciate them. Giving away some of my sets that I've retired, like I've gotten a better version of this or that, so I don't need the old one. And instead of going through the hassle of trying to sell them on Reddit and eBay and stuff, if it's only worth like 100, 150, $200, I'm just going to try and find someone who would not just appreciate the gesture, but really be able to appreciate the equipment. Just give it to them. I think that's just a good way to live outside of audio equipment. Number 9, do not put others down based on their equipment or opinions. So if you've seen a few of my videos, you've heard me say that I don't think that a set of $20 IEMs is good enough to really fully connect with your music. And it's not that I'm retracting that statement, but we do all start somewhere. And if you're someone who doesn't have anything and that's what you start with, that's fine. I mean, if you put someone down for their equipment and stuff, they're so much more likely to abandon this path and abandon their, and not realize these spiritual goals and spiritual growth through music. Because even though you and that person are maybe at different levels, you're on a completely parallel journey, and you're trying to derail them because you're farther along, or you feel that you're farther along, which is probably the root of the mistake, is that you think you're farther along, or that you've achieved something that they haven't or they couldn't. And just these being egotistical or self-righteous about audio and audio equipment it doesn't help anybody. You're gonna tear yourself down whether or not you realize it doing that. If you are disagreeing with someone else's opinion, look inward and try and understand why you feel the need to express that disagreement. You may feel that you're being noble and saving people money because you're detesting this false opinion that somebody has. But at that point, you are exactly to them what they are to you. You just disagree. Nobody's right. You can provide your own opinion through your own article or your own this or that. You can or just leave a friendly comment and say, hey, I love the video. I personally, I didn't find the treble to be as bright as you're saying. I'm not sure why, but that's just my observation. Which, I don't know, maybe that'll help someone out who's on the fence, but there's no need to spread negativity. It doesn't help anybody. Audiophilia is not some huge thing where, half the world is into it. So I feel like as a small or more niche community, that everyone needs to make efforts to be exist in unity and harmony rather than putting people down. And number 10, this is definitely the most important, arguably the most important. Remain music centric. While audiophilia is the pursuit of the most optimal playback of your music, do not forget the importance of the dependent variable, which is how much do I enjoy the music. The goal is when you're buying that $10,000 set of speakers and you're waiting for them to come in, you're just thinking, man, I'm gonna love my music so much. I'm gonna enjoy my music. And that's what it should be. It shouldn't be, man, these speakers, oh, they're going to look so cool on the shelf. I'm going to get so much Reddit karma for this. I'm going to call people broke boys in the caption. Nothing like that, So I have a kind of an analogy for this. If you've seen the movie A Beautiful Life, it's an older one. If you haven't, it's an all-time classic, and you need to watch it. There's a guy named Potter who's like that old Scrooge, and basically, what is the point in accumulating the perfect audio system if it's just to show others how great your system is? Okay, think of Potter here. Who is jealous of the Scrooges who spend every second of their life building wealth to never enjoy it, and in the meantime sacrifice their families, friends, personal morality, etc. to achieve this wealth? In the end, it doesn't serve them, right? I would urge you to create a simple mathematical equation in which you divide the total cost of your system or setup by hours listened. If this is how you begin to assess the value of your audio purchases, then regardless of the price, the best setups will be nearly free. Okay? So it's fine to spend $1 million on your Wilson audio setup, but I mean, you should be worshiping that thing. That thing should be a freaking shrine at your house at that point. That's not to say that it's okay. Oh, I bought this for only $50. I'm gonna listen for like a day. Nothing like that. I'm just saying that you should really kind of frame it, the value of these products, in terms of how much enjoyment they bring you and how much you listen to it, rather than necessarily its technical capabilities. I kind of wanted to end this with some final thoughts. So throughout the whole course of this, I didn't really give audiophile, the word itself, a definition. And that's purposeful because there is not a definition that is correct. If you've been in this hobby for a while, you may or may not know what I'm talking about. But this is very real, where a lot of the older generation of audiophiles, particularly, or people who have these ballin' speaker setups and dedicated listening rooms in their houses and all this, they kind of like to gatekeep the term audiophile, to where you're not an audiophile if you don't have this much invested, or if you don't have this specific grade of equipment, or this and that. And I think that's all such horseshit. My definition of audiophile that I could come up with is a person who enjoys music and pursues optimal playback. So it has nothing to do with how much you spend. You could spend $20 in this example. You could be someone who transitioned from your phone's onboard external speaker to a pair of $20 IEMs, and in that you have pursued optimal playback. So don't think this is a pay to play game, but don't think that it's necessarily a deal where you're not actually hearing the music if you're not spending $1,000 on your IEMs. My personal recommendation of what I think is the best bang to buck value, kind of where to start, is like $80 to $150, maybe $200, because within that you're getting some legit audio. If you can't start there, that's fine. If you have a $50 pair of IEMs, that is fine. I mean, there are people who just love the Truth Ear Zero Red, and they just prefer that over way more expensive stuff. I'm actually interested in trying that set out, so that may be something you see feature on the channel here. But just let me know. Let me know what you think. If you have anything that I forgot or didn't think of, let me know in the comments. If you have any suggestions for further topics you want me to cover, let me know. Any sets of IEMs or anything. So, like I said, I'm just looking to make videos that people want to watch, or that could help people, and it really will help me kind of give you exactly what video you want if you tell me. I don't care if I get one comment on a video that's gonna be an hour long and in depth. I'll do it. So thank you for watching, and keep listening.